KRVSR Productions. This week we're going to go on a part 2 series. I did racial tension in the United States today. Matter of fact, this is racial tension from the beginning of the United States to the present day. This is a very touchy subject to me. So since I'm doing a part 2, I just wanted to make sure that I filled in spots that I didn't get in there last time. Now, I'm going to be looking down every once in a while because I wrote down some notes so I wouldn't forget. They're very important. If I was to say to you, whipped and marked, being sold constantly, rape was routine, bad treatment, hunted for sports, hung, shackled, burnt, mutilated, imprisoned, no schooling or education, no worship, beaten to death, and death. I'm talking about slavery, black slavery here in the United States. The question is, why is there black racial tension? It's because lack of acknowledgement. I'm gonna take you back a little bit, all right? I took you just now to some of the things that happened to slaves back when they were first brought here in 1619. Now I'm going to tell you some of the other events that have happened. Black Wall Street, Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1923. A whole community was murdered and massacred of black people. Not because of anything else but the color of their skin. Rosewood, Florida, January 1923. 150 people killed because a white man touched a white woman. Seneca Village, Central Park, New York, 1825. Before it was Central Park, that's where the blacks lived. And they turned it into like almost a community. Everyone in that community was killed. Okay? Slavery started in 1619 to 1865. Now, that's the projected time. I think personally it started earlier, and I know for a fact it started earlier, and I know it lasted longer than 1865. In 1932, the Tuskegee University experiment, the study was on syphilis on black American men. The study was supposed to only last 6 months. What they did, they injected black men with syphilis to try to find a remedy or cure. What? But he said it only supposed to last 6 months. But it lasted 40 years. There was no screens for, hey, what are you doing? You can't tell me that Congress and the country didn't know that this was going on, but they continued to let it go on. America has been at war 93% of the time since 1775. They have fought 222 wars. Every war that America fought since the Civil War, black men have been right beside them. But we know what the outcome was afterwards. They treated them like the slave, like the nigger that they felt that they were. Even to this day, we go and we fight for America. We do our part. Now, we have to understand that there's no race in the world that's perfect. Everybody got their ignoramuses. But if you were treated with this kind of respect, and you're not getting the respect that you think that you so dearly deserve, of course you're gonna be tense part of the time. Anytime someone talks about, race equality, and they're smiling on their faces because they could walk up into a bank and get any loan possible, that's owed to them. But then again, a black man can walk up in there with the same qualifications and not get it. There is a problem. We know who built the railroads here. It was the slaves. We know. I can honestly tell you, I went to the Jacob Javits Center in Manhattan, and they got a monument behind Jacob Javits that when they started building in Manhattan, in the downtown area, and when they was digging up the ground, they discovered burials of Indians and black slaves. I don't know about you, that's devastating to me. And it was making me tense just reading this. Now, what I'm talking about isn't just for black people, this is for everybody. You know what I mean? Before you start pointing the finger that why this guy's the way he is, or why this and that, because, man, we've been playing a game of Monopoly with our countrymen, other races. Because when we were let out of slavery and freed, so-called, everybody else had, our Monopoly, they give you money to start the game with. They didn't get a slave anything, not a cent. So here we are playing Monopoly without no cash. But look at us now. We have accepted all the punishment and ridicule that came along with coming out of slavery, all the ridicule and punishment and pain and suffering while we were slaves. But I just want to show you something else. With the exception of 20 years, America's been at war since 1775, with the exception of 20 years. So you tell me, that's a lot of fighting, that's a lot of killing, that's a lot of dedication from a race that wasn't getting no appreciation. Slavery started 1619 in Jamestown, and it ended 1865. This is according to, American history. Now, as a comparison, I understand the Jews went through what they went through also, and that was very, very terrible. I mean, these are some crazy people, but you have to understand the madness that we went through as black people happened right here. Probably these grounds right here that we stand on, if you dig deep enough, you'll probably find some black bodies, or some bodies, period. The Holocaust started in 1941 and ended 1945. Jews that died was 6 million. But check this out. The transatlantic slave trade resulted in a vast and as yet still unknown loss of life for African captors, both in and outside of America. Approximately on the travels from Africa, they said that there's 1.2 to 2.4 million Africans that died during their transport to the New World. They say that there was 12 million that died altogether. I mean, in a short time, Hitler did some crazy stuff. That's a lot of murder in a matter of 4 years. That's devastating. And I understand the grief of the Jewish people. But you have to understand, the Jewish people don't have to live what black people live with. You blend right into the society. We always have this color that we have to bear first and foremost and keep our heads up. Because there are some people out there that are not gonna let us be ourselves, be the man that we are, be the woman that we are. And they just always there's always a stumbling block. And last but not least, I want to just say, intense, right? I feel if anybody went through anything like this in your country or anywhere else, I feel you. But you have to understand, this is the country that it happened to us. The constitutions, the American Pledge of Allegiance and all that stuff wasn't written for us. Congress was not implemented for us. We went from overseer from the plantations to officer on the streets. There's a thing that we call DWB, driving while black. I remember my brothers used to tell me back in the 50s, because I have brothers that are in their 70s, that black people in some towns, black people couldn't even walk on the sidewalks. So before you point your finger at a black person and just trying to figure out why are they always uptight, why they got that attitude, we deserve to have any attitude we want. Because for one, we was never given an apology for what happened to our ancestors. We were never rewarded for everything that we have done in this world. And in this world, I mean that, in this world, because I can go there too. So before you start pointing the fingers, just think, wow, that's intense. I know I couldn't live back in those times. I'd have been dead 15 times over. This is KRVSR Productions. I just want to say one last thing. Where's the apology? If you like this pod, thank you. Please subscribe to my podcast. I'm out.